Hello, my name is Jan Smulders. I'm product manager at Mitsubishi Electric Benelux office in the Netherlands, and I'd like to demonstrate and tell you something about the Playout Composer system, which is one of the products that we have as Playout family these days. So the Playout Composer is a multi-display and playback system which can actually run on any display, on any size, any screen, any resolution and any shape. Actually, the power behind the Playout Composer system is the S-Display functionality. And I'd like to click on some menu where I can show you how it works. If you look at the screen, you see that we can create from one display group several displays. And actually, this is what we do. So, we select the display group and we cut out the real resolution, for instance, a projector. On this example, you see 1280 by 800. What we did, we cut it out and we set it to the offset of 0, 0. That is where you start in your screen. Over here we have a configuration from 3 projectors from Mitsubishi, the 8200, which actually have themselves edge blending. But on this show, we like to demonstrate that the edge blending and the geometry was done by Composer itself, which is very powerful. If you make the setup and go to the real screen, we can launch the functionality which is called the geometry settings. So there will be dots on the output screen which you can handle like a warping function. And in this way you are able to make any correction based on the 3 or 11 projectors, it depends on the configuration, where you can change the geometry. Then in the system, of course, there is a soft edge setting that you can use to change the blending till it's right for your output screen, which is very useful. I can tell you, if you look at the GUI of the Playout Composer, it almost looks like a video editing software. Everything that we do is real time, it's live and it's very easy. What you see over here is the library of content which we loaded actually by pressing a few little buttons where it's loaded into the system directly. Adding a web page is like give it a name, type in your website, give the exact pixel size that is required for the screen that you are using, or changing it easily afterwards by drag and drop or dragging at the right side and scale it up a little bit. This is the way. Also live streaming video, yes? Type in the IP address, give it a name, drag it on one of the layers, yes? Set the cues and play your show. Also live input, because we are using datapod input boards, or maybe SDI if you need cameras to have as live input. It's child play actually. You press the button, you give your live input a name, and there you can choose out of several input boards. It depends on the configuration of your composer, and you will see a preview of your live input. Also this, put on your timeline on the desired time and you play it out. Also we can do elements like add text, add a ticker, add a clock to the system, add an RSS feed or a Twitter to have more interaction on shows that you do on live events, for instance, or add a 3D model. We're using 3DS, so you can easily, with the mouse click, on the right mouse click, you can change the model. You can turn it around, scale it up, scale it down. Actually, Playout Composer is ready for our LMT screens. Mitsubishi is using LMT screens, laser multi-touch, and this can be driven by the Composer too. When the LMT is connected to the Playout Composer, we can set several interesting features. We can set a queue where if nobody is touching the screens, for instance, after 1 minute, the Playout Composer will jump to some screensaver video which is waiting for a command. The power behind this tool is that normally you have to create content which is able to react on a press on the screen. This has to be done by the content creator. But now these days we just set the video as an interactive piece of content. So we can say to the video, when it's clicked, jump to some next cue, and your show that you originally created is changed back to the way it was. So this is very powerful. So Playout Composer is not only for boardrooms, for auction halls, for museums. We do it also for train stations. So we had some demonstration about the Oslo train station, which can publish real time every information you need. So the Player Out Composer is a very powerful tool. So when you drag something on the timeline, like a piece of content, a live feed, a streaming video, whatever, you can actually open in your timeline the features that you need to change, for instance, opacity, to make your transitions. Actually, it's very easy. So you activate your piece of content, you change the desired opacity, also for transparency, and you can use it like this. Scaling up the video, also manually by typing in just the figures that you like, but also scaling with the mouse. Rotation can be done also, so interesting maybe to make a nice look and feel on the screen, or to fit actually what you like to show. So also we can do the multi-touch, as I explained before, but also we can drag audio files on the timeline and fade them in, fade them out. So these are the features that we have in the layer functionalities. When you start creating a show, you have 10 layers. And everybody always asking, is this the limit? No, there is, because we have no limitation on layers quantity. You can use as much layers as you like. Then you could think, well, then you can load a lot of content on the timeline. That is true. And how do we handle this kind of content then? We have some functionality where we can say, for instance, preload at start of the show. This can be very useful. For instance, if you have a small lobby installation that can run constantly. But if you have a big show running, maybe it's better that you can say to your piece of content like, preload 10 seconds or preload 20 seconds of the content. This makes the system running more smoothly. You have more better performance on the processor. You don't fill up your RAM memory as quick as normally load at start of the show. So for every show that you create, you have to find actually the limitation of the show. For instance, if you put 4 times Apple TV as an input on the datapad boards, including some Viper streaming or other live feeds that you can get, it can be a problem. So this is the reason why we build in this functionality of preload. So maybe you do for live feed a 1-minute preload, and actually it will run very smoothly. Talking about big videos like 7680 pixels, also this we can run. Actually, we can run more at the same time. So not only talking about preload or preload 20 seconds or 1 minute, we have a fantastic converter tool inside of the composer. Normally, when it's produced in After Effects, the best way to do is to render it out as a motion JPEG QuickTime, 1 frame, and we will convert it in the composer in an instant. You browse for your video, you browse for the folder where your output file will be, and you can exact by drag the level to 16 up to 18 quality. This is just a figure. And this will give you a smooth run and play on the composer system. So during today we did show a canvas size of 3072 pixels, but this can be much wider. We did already connect 11 ultra short throw projectors from Mitsubishi to the composer, and this was the geometry and the edge blending was done by the composer itself. Very powerful. So you can imagine that if you have to run these big pieces of video, that you need this kind of converter tool to run it very smoothly. So actually the canvas can as big as you need. For instance, I give you one example like the musea. We had a lot of requests during this year, since the first introduction of the composer system, that a museum needs 3-4 areas where they like to display a lot of content. So, for instance, if they have a zone A, B and C, maybe on zone A they use 2 projectors with edge blending, zone B is having maybe 4 projectors, and zone C has maybe also 4 projectors with edge blending and geometry. We can do this in one canvas. you set the content in the right way, in the right position, by using the layer properties, and the content will be shown on every single screen. So you actually need one composer player, and this is the power behind all of this. So the Playout IP control is a fantastic application. It's easy to use, same as the application on the composer itself. What they do, when you set the cues on the timeline, you can activate them on an iPad, an iPhone, an Android phone, or a regular PC which have a multi-touch screen. So this makes it very easy for boardrooms, for small businesses to use the composer and to have an IP control, and it's easy. Yes, so if you press just the buttons, it will react on the system and jump to the next cue. Yes, so you can use elements or whatever, as I explained before. Now we step into the news, and we can also say stop, or we play. Yes, or we jump to the next cue. All easy like this. A nice feature that I really like to show you to finish off this information is that we have a nice function. It's called mask. And with the mask functionality, we are able to create funny things. But actually, it was done when a projection is used and the screen is smaller. We can add this mask file on top of the total layers to actually make a mask that the video that is under the screen is not being seen anymore, because this gives a lot of disturbance. So, well, this was more about all about the composer system. Actually, I like to say this is one of the products in the total Playout family. We launched Signage XL, we launched InfoMaster, which can control our Mitsubishi screens for the signage configuration if they are really switched on, or we switch them on from the outside. My name is Smulders. I thank you very much.